Speaking of the power rankings, folks, let's bring it up. It got released today on the SEC Unfiltered social media accounts. You lucky dogs got a sneak preview. But again, I'm not going to go long-winded in this. You can kind of tell how I feel about a lot of these teams. But let's go 16 through 1. 16, South Carolina. Is there really much of an argument here, folks? Let's call a spade here. I would love to hear if there's any arguments in the comments or anything. I mean, I don't think there is, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I think it'd be interesting to see what South Carolina would look like in the ACC. That's what I would like to say right there. What would they look like in the ACC? Would they finish in the top 5, 6? I don't know. I mean, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. The power rankings tweeting this out. Yeah, but I mean, so they got to come in at 16. They got to come in at 16. Number 15, LSU. I don't think they're that much more in front of South Carolina, if I'm being honest, folks. I don't think they're that much more in front of South Carolina, if I'm being completely honest here. I mean, Jalen Reed went down. They goes. Cam Carter goes. As the league continues to pick up, I mean, how many more wins they get? They almost have to win against Missouri. I mean, they really do. I think after that, they get Ole Miss. So I actually want to look it up, LSU basketball schedule. I was looking at it today, and I don't want to quote you and be wrong. It would be – so it's at Missouri, and they go at Ole Miss, Arkansas at home, at A&M, Bama, and Auburn. Missouri's almost a must-win, and I don't think they're going to get it. I think the battle for that last spot is going to be between LSU and South Carolina all year. They're coming in at number 14, Texas. Again, I told you I wasn't very high on the Horns. Wasn't very high on it. I think they put too much on Trey Johnson's shoulder. I mentioned Quinn Ewers earlier. He couldn't handle it. Trey Johnson can't handle it. And then no one's helping Arthur Kaluma in the front court. I mean, you just stop Trey Johnson, there goes a lot of the scoring because I don't see a lot of consistent scoring from Jordan Pope, if I'm being honest, the Oregon State transfer. Number 13, I don't really like them being this low, but I don't know. I think this is where they got to be right now. After the Auburn, because the Auburn, it's tough to judge them after going to Neville Arena, probably arguably a top 2 to 3 place to play in the country, if not number 1 right now, and expect. I mean, you covered, but again, you were down from 20 to 30 most of that game. That's coming from somebody who took Missouri plus 18.5. They're an improved team, rebounding though. Just they'll get whipped on the board. So they forced a lot of turnovers. I kind of like what Dennis Gates and them doing. They're going to be sitting on that bubble most of the year. Mark Byington and them, the Commies, the Commodores. A lot of the Commodore fans giving me a lot of hell. What's his name? Oric Goldfinger, I think was one of his names. Again, love the Vanderbilt listeners. They're right where they need to be right now. Big game tomorrow against Mississippi State at home. Big game tomorrow against Mississippi State at home. You heard me. I'm going to repeat it. Big game tomorrow against Mississippi State. Vanderbilt starts off 2-0 in league play, folks. We're going to have to start looking. I think this Mississippi State team coming in is a 4 to 5 seed in the tournament right now. But Vanderbilt's kind of putting this puzzle piece together, and it's like, is it ever just going to just divide up and go its separate ways, or it's going to kind of stay together like it has been already? I mean, it may be a terrible analogy. Just kind of sitting here on this live and just thinking about it. But I got Vanderbilt 12. I think that's about right now. Oklahoma took their first loss again. I mean, the net rankings don't really like them either. They're in the 40s. I mean, Oklahoma's much improved, but they're still a flawed team. I think it's a big game for them against Texas A&M, hosting them on Wednesday night. Can't get too far behind. And I know they should be safe by what they did in non-conference play. Their best win was Michigan. Phenomenal game, by the way. You can't start collecting a bunch of conference losses. You really can't. Again, I think Oklahoma's much improved. I like them to be an NCAA tournament team as of now. But be careful. Someone's going to slide in this league once conference play really starts to. They're a team that's a potential candidate. Number 10, Georgia. Again, I think it's just a bad shooting night. I don't want to punish them too much. I want to see how they play Kentucky tomorrow. I think y'all may be surprised by that pick right there. Mike White and his team, as talented as it's been, maybe one of the more talented teams they've had in quite a while, probably since the early 2000s when my guy, the coach, it used to be Jim Herrick was there maybe. But Georgia comes in at 10. I'm fine with that. Arkansas 9. I don't want to take too much out of that Tennessee game. The non-shoot around is cowing them. It is what it is. Talented team. They're going to be up and down, I think, this year with this team. I thought they were coming into that Tennessee game playing their best basketball. Maybe they were. But where's guys like Nelly Davis? We need him to step up. It's just a lot to ask a true freshman like Boogie Fland to really take a lot of that load as well. Ole Miss coming in at number 8 for me. I thought they had a nice bounce-back win against a solid Georgia team after getting kind of bullied by Memphis. So give Chris Beard and his team credit. Defense hadn't been as consistent as I like, especially them bringing back Mark Adams, one of his fellow Texas Tech assistants who got the Texas Tech head job when Beard went to Austin, by the way. But he's in Oxford helping them defensively. Maybe that'll improve. But I want to see a little bit more consistency out of Matthew Morrell and Jamin Brakefield as they continue to go. Mississippi State 7, big opportunity for them tomorrow. Going to Memorial, I think people are going to be, man, you're an underdog going in there. Christian's going to have the motivation factor for his Bulldogs. They seem like they have some guys that can really help them across the board there outside of just Josh Hubbard. I like this Mississippi State team. I think they're fighting to get anywhere for that 3 to 5 seed range in the NCAA tournament. So being the top 12 to 20 team in the country, I think that's where they're fighting to be at, and that's where they're ranked right now. Texas A&M, they're going to be that team that concerns me on the road a little bit. That's why this week concerns me with them going to Norman, who I think Oklahoma and Porter Moser, and then will be a little hungry. A&M at home is going to be very similar to Auburn and Tennessee and Alabama, Kentucky. It's going to be hard to win in those places a lot. I think even Mississippi State and Florida, it's going to be hard to win in this league night to night no matter what, folks. But, man, that offensive rebounding, it's just a wild stat. A better offensive rebounding team than a defensive rebounding team. That's really how it's been since Buzz Williams and Wade Taylor have been there. But I just trust them if I know what I'm going to get. So they come in at 6. Florida, I hated drop it. From 3, 4, and 5, I mean, you could shake it up right now and put them – you could go Florida, Kentucky, Alabama. You could go Kentucky, Alabama, Florida. You could swap it out. I really was not discouraged with them at all. I thought that was the sets, the guys making shots, the passes to set up the shots were phenomenal. It was a great offensive game for Florida. I can't drop them too much. I put them at 5. They were 3 last week. Kentucky, they got the win, so I had to move them up right there. Very impressed. I'm worried about the Cats a little bit, though, this week. I don't want them to drop one of those road games. It scares me, though. Back-to-back road games at Georgia, then at Mississippi State. That Mississippi State one really scares me. Alabama coming in at 3, one of the highest ceilings in the sport. Their best all-around game they played Saturday night at home against Oklahoma. And Oklahoma's team's first road game. The line was 12.5. I think we all kind of sniffed this one out, didn't we? I think us ball knowers, as I said at the beginning of the show, again, we rebranded. This is Dave Knows Ball. Most people that know me, I hate using the term ball knower or non-ball knower. Most people that use that a lot are non-ball knowers, folks. Believe me, people working in the buildings in college football after working in it 9 years, no one ever says they know ball or don't know ball in those buildings. I would venture to say it's the same on the basketball buildings and baseball buildings as well. But Alabama, just a high ceiling. It's just limit turnovers, and they did limit them the other day, and they played defense. And again, they're going to give up points because of their style, but that was their best game across the board. Tennessee at 2. I know AP has them at 1, but the poll, it matters. Dave's SEC basketball power ratings from SEC Unfiltered has Tennessee at 2. It's just more of a compliment to Auburn being at 1 and how dominant they've been so far. And it's wild because Tennessee's the undefeated team. Auburn has the 1 loss at Cameron Indoor, but I think anybody with 2 eyes would take Auburn right now, wouldn't you, on a neutral floor? Unfortunately, these teams only play once this year, and it's at Neville. I'd like to see it at Thompson-Bowl Arena, but not much to pick from these 2 teams. Tennessee gets a dominant win against Kentucky. Auburn gets a dominant win against Auburn. But that's it right there, guys. 1 through 16 this week's SEC Power Rankings across the board from that one.